Yeah.
All right, I'll keep that in mind too.
Okay. Report back to me as soon as you do it.
All right, talk to you later.
Okay. Bye, buddy.
Bye.
Okay.
No, seriously. Was it? He has a headache from what?
After his second COVID vaccine, I should have asked him which one he got, but
Oh shit.
yeah,
Did you got the Pfizer, the killer?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure now. I'll ask him after he sends me, a picture of it happening. But yes, his wife had like crazy bad stomach issues. I had stomach issues. Felt like someone after I got I never got a second one because I got the first one and had a bunch of adverse things that I did not like. So I was like, fuck it. I would rather.
Which one did you get?
Pfizer.
Oh yeah. No.
So
No. I've heard too much bad shit about that one. Like,
yeah, I don't like any of it. With the odds in the favor of you're not going to die. But I don't know. I had a buddy that recently, this is nuts. I had a buddy that recently, I'd like to actually have him on the podcast at some point too, because he's a kind of a lifelong lifter. And I think, he's just an interesting dude. He'd be worth having on the podcast. But anyhow, he didn't get the vaccine. He got COVID. He thinks he had it twice. He got the original one. And then the Delta variant, gave him all kinds of, I don't know. If you get on the Reddit forums, it's called long haul COVID. So post having COVID, have all these crazy issues after the fact that are not as common, but it seems like there's a lot of issues and they are physical, but they manifest in a mental way, I guess. And some of them are mental too. Panic attacks, anxiety, things that associate with that, things that cause that, elevated blood pressure, weird things. He had just this gambit of things and really didn't know how to solve the problem, didn't know how to approach it. And I had a long conversation with, that's the first time I've been concerned about someone where you couldn't just be like, well, just go to the doctor and get it figured out, because he tried.
They don't know.
They don't know. And if anything, they gave him they were detrimental, because he was already having these anxiety issues, and they basically told him without being direct, you're crazy. It's just all in your head. Pandemics can kind of, make people's anxiety levels go up, and really patronized him with what he was experiencing. So he ended up finding a doctor on a Reddit forum that wrote him a protocol to start dealing with some of this stuff. And pretty interesting stuff. He's on the mend now, but just a wild, not good thing.
I mean, I call my wife the woman. I think you've heard me say that a lot. I just call her the woman.
Yeah.
And I've recently taken just calling her Cruella, after Cruella DeVille. Just, crazy woman, love of my life. And so Cruella works at OSU. She works in a lab. That's what she does, and she's straight up. She's like, yeah, the vaccines on the whole it's very safe. They were ready for SARS, however many 15 years ago. They tweaked it a little bit. I was still hesitant to get mine. And I gotta be honest with you, when I was at Knox, it was odd at Knox, then even off post, the amount of people that wore masks, it was more than the amount of people that wore masks. Not, again, that can be debatable if it helps or not. So let's just leave that out. But in comparison to Columbus, much more people wore them down there. So I was kind of okay. I was like, all right, well, base is locked down tight. So it's not like anything's crazy is going to happen outlandishly bad with that. And they'll lock it away real quick if it does.
Right.
The only reason I got mine, I got the Moderna 2-parter, was because I was moving to Juarez.
Right.
And we were in El Paso, after the heat of all that shit anyway. So I was like, I would rather kind of no, okay, it's in me now. Now I'm kind of expecting it. I felt like dick in a box. I mean, Justin Timberlake would sing me a ballad on that. I felt horrible for 24, 36 hours. I thought I was going to die.
Yep.
And then felt great. But I would not have done that if I hadn't have moved to Juarez and moved to the murder capital of the North America. So I wouldn't have done it if that. But if we haven't got banned yet, which we haven't, we'll get banned now. We're going to work on that.
Oh, damn it. Well, you already saw that our first podcast had a this is not suitable for all ages.
I did that
banner on the front of it.
I did that.
Did that. Oh, okay, good.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Still had, as of like 10 days ago, like 5 days ago, we have 52 views. I'm like, I don't even want to look at the average amount of time, but I'm like, I just want to make sure when people click on it, they know what they're getting.
Yeah.
It's not suitable for children. And then there's going to be a lot of language because I got a potty mouth. So
that's
gonna happen.
Okay. That's fine. Yeah. Well, it makes me feel better. I don't know. I
want
want it to be
it made me feel better. I'm like, I feel good. Like, at least they're going to ban it. It must be really, really hardcore,
Yeah. Yeah. We might quickly have to go to a non-video forum if that happens, which could probably happen.
Is that what happens?
Yeah. They remove you. You can put up snippets of kosher conversations. And then, that's why people move to Austin and then
move to the Spotify, huh? Sign $100 million deal
and move to the Spotify. That's the
I think that would solve my problems. Do you want to move to Austin with me?
Well, that's what I'm saying. And if we do that, clearly we've arrived at that point. Like, if we have to move to Austin and get on the Spotify, mission accomplished, sir. Mission accomplished.
At that point, at that particular juncture, you could just train full time, and I'll just be your training partner, and we'll push for the Olympia. That's at that point.
Don't tempt me with a good time.
That's fine. We'll fly out. We'll meet Sergio. We'll train with him for a week or two at a time. It's just, we'll live that life. That's great.
He looked good, by the way. I mean, I could definitely see that he has. I paid a little more attention this year. Like, really paid attention to. After you told me to watch
because Arnold was commentating.
Watch Arnold because of that commentating, but actually started paying attention to, like, what's the progression look like and who's actually good. Because there was a lot of, I don't want to use the Arnold as a thing because I think a lot of people use that as a warm-up round.
Especially this year. Yeah, that was a 2-week warm-up round. Yeah.
The higher competitors. So, not to take anything away, but as far as like gifted people that actually look good in the sport, that there's a lot of people, in my opinion, like they could show up in shape. And I'm like, the only reason you're good is because there isn't someone with more potential isn't competing against you right now. I feel like there's a lot of, there's very few genetically gifted people from an all-around symmetry basis. There's a lot of dudes that can put on muscle, no doubt. But when I was really looking at, hey, if that guy showed up in shape, there's like 5 people that I was really impressed with their physiques and what they could actually bring to the table. There's a whole bunch of people that were great condition. I think they did a good job, but there doesn't seem like it's super competitive right now in regards to how many great bodies from the bodybuilding side, the classic physique side. There's like 3 people in each category, in my opinion, that like are really, really good all time. I guess that's what I'm comparing to. Mm-hmm.
You're thinking about Ronnie. You're thinking about Jay. You're thinking about Dorian. You're like, who's that? How many people? Exactly. Like, okay, it's gonna be race for second. Yeah. It doesn't exist.
It doesn't. It's not super competitive. There isn't 9 guys deep in anything.
It's not the 90s anymore.
No, and there's only a couple of people, like, you could have a Bumstead on a stage with anyone in any generation, but I guess that's what I'm really saying. When you look at everyone competing in that sport right now, if you were to put, and everyone does these comparisons, you'd put all the best on the stage at one time from all the eras. There's very few from this era right now that I think could be on that stage and hold a candle to any of those physiques. There's a few, and I think they're some of the best ones ever right now. I think there's a few really good people right now, but there's not a lot of depth, in my opinion.
Yeah.
After watching those, but
no, it's definitely something where there was a time when it was the people who were at the very top were just those incredibly, not saying they're not genetically elite, because they are, they think about lifting a weight and they gain muscle. It's, you know, it's a, people think they can just do it today. It's not the 60s anymore. You can't just jump in and like get on the Olympia stage. But it's not like, I think people rag on the 90s is like the last like it era. And like even the early thousands where you had that Ronnie J, you know, back and forth, because I think at that point you were still dealing with just genetic, uber elite. Like, don't get me wrong. Again, the guys today, they're still freaks. They're still freaks. But I think that I don't know. That's a deep hole. And like, dude, when you see these guys, you know this. You see the guys like today in real life. Even then, you're like, fuck, those guys are. It's unbelievable. How is that even a thing? How is Hinatama Yadagishi's shoulders this big? And it's the size of like both my glutes and my West Side Prime. How is that possible? How is that possible? Like, that's unbelievable. Like, you see Sergio in real life, you're like, he looks like an oxen. It's the most unbelievable fucking thing. And once he dials, he and Chris figure out how to get rid of that water. Oh, it's gonna be fucking nasty as fuck.
And he's one of fuck. Yeah, but he's one of those ones where it's like, when I say potential, it's like if he does everything right, he's phenomenal. He's one of those ones that if he does everything right, he's gonna be phenomenal. Yeah. Did you see how Sean Clearder won the Legion Sports Fest? Motherfucker's like 170. He beat Sergio and he beat out Grimes. Like, disgusting. Like, he was disgusting. He turned, like, he looked great, really bubbly. Fucking, he had like the feathered quad, like the Jay Cutler outside feathered quad, turned to the back. Yeah. And it was like, what the fuck is that? It looks like a fucking turtle shell popping off this guy's lower. Yes. I saw that picture. Really impressive. Yeah. I can't think of the last time I don't know that I've ever seen something quite like that. Yeah, that was pretty impressive. No, I mean, I remember I was listening to a podcast. What was it like? This is like a week or two before, and it was with Ian Valier, and he's like, dude, because they're all thinking he's gonna be like fourth. He's like, he'll make a run, he'll be fourth. But he said, he's like, dude, from the back, that guy's just ridiculous. He's just bubbly. And I'm like, I've seen him from the back, but I haven't. Like, I've seen him at Destination that day I was there. I'm pretty sure he was there. I'm like, that guy's pretty freaky. Like, even in giant ass baggy gasp clothing. And, you know, you just don't know what you see until you take that really oversized, 4X baggy tee off a 170 pounder. And you're like, fuck, you look like you're, 195, 205. Like, fuck, man. Like, there's a few of those guys that I think, I don't know what it is or if they don't see it or what it is, but I honestly think some of those massive guys, the only way to progress their physique is to get smaller in some areas, because I think they get locked in these terms of, I got to bring this up, and I think you're chasing your tail. I think some of those guys, they brought some things down to bring everything into symmetry, as much as they don't want to do that. You don't hear about guys that are talking like that. Like Sean Ray was big on talking about, like, I've reached my potential in this realm. I got to come back down to bring things into aesthetic manner. And I still see a whole bunch of guys just chasing like bigger is better. But the size game. It's still there. Very much still there. If anything, I think it's worse than ever. Yeah. I mean, I think it really just depends on what the judges want. That's it too. And that's what I was going to say is like, I'm definitely putting a lot of personal opinion as far as what I see. There's no doubt, but which I think first have been a lot of the people that are winning, I think are good. But once you start going to second, third, fourth, fifth, there's quite a few people that I would have placed very different enough that it really makes you think, what kind of politics are transpiring behind the scenes, because this is the Arnold you're talking about? Arnold. Yeah. How would you put the top three? Because I'll be honest with you, like, I'm not a huge Nick Walker physique fan, but dude, he was in fucking shape. He was in that's kind of what I meant. I think there's a few other guys, and that back double bicep, anything from the back with him is retarded, just stupid. And the thing is, like, he knows too, like, what he's not good at. He knows what he is good at. I mean, I'm sorry, I sidetracked myself. Like, I know. I think you have to leave him first, because when conditioning was a big factor there, which is kind of what I was getting at. Yeah. I'm trying to think now, because it was like the 7th, 8th, and 9th, or it was way deep in the pool. I thought some of those guys overall, I think symmetry is a big thing for me. And shoot, actually Arnold laid out a lot of
calves, a lot of calf issues, a lot of gut
There's
issues,
a lot of calf
vein
issues,
a lot of vein,
those
leg
things,
issues.
I feel I haven't went down this nerdy hole
it's fun, isn't it?
Ever out loud. It's
I know.
It's kind of fun. It's interesting, but yeah, it's extremely detracting from some of their physiques when you have such, abnormally small calves and you got these massive hamstrings and massive quads. But I mean, if I had to throw out, like, I'm trying to think, the last couple competitions I've seen, like a Raleigh Winkler, I think that guy is constantly being placed way lower than he should.
Really, after the last, because like he did not look great.
I
don't know what he did. I think he came out and admitted it too. Like, we've done some fucked up shit in the last year. We fucked a lot of shit up, and I'm just gonna regroup and just reset, because the last 2 shows he's done has been like garbage, like not even top 10. Like,
I guess no, he hasn't. I would say that people that are always semi close to him. So this is probably just bias on my part. I still think aesthetically, even when things are off, he's still better than the people that are placing 1 and 2 places I think ahead of him. But yeah, I don't know. He's one of those guys for me that, man, I would like to see that guy pull it together. Be at it as long as he has. And he's got some just freakish gifts.
Dude.
Just unbelievable.
Especially his triceps. Like, his tricep delt tie-ins are like, horrible. It's just so embarrassing. I think what you were talking about was kind of like the mass, and everyone's chasing the mass, and like, you got to Kuwait, it becomes a mass game. Like, a lot of fun. I have a lot of fun stories I could tell you about that off camera, but like, him in his early, do you remember when he was being trained by the old woman he called Oma?
Yes.
Grandma. Yeah. Dude, that physique when he came in shredded at like a 240, 245, fucking great.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong, there's always little things you can do here and there, and I'll never be at that level. I'm just an observer who's been a fan of the sport for fucking like 2 decades. Like, that body weight for him, fucking great. His waist was tight. Yeah, the arms and the delts just make that waist even smaller. He had legs, like, need a little more lower lat just to really fill it out. But man, like, he started to play that size game. Too, the Kai Green, he started to play that size game, and he lost that waist to a certain extent. Like, he couldn't quite do like the crazy shit he would do on stage when he won the Arnold, like handstand, like bicycles, like shit like that. Like,
yes.
Like, man, I want to see that.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah. No. Yeah. It'll be interesting as time progresses. I'm curious to see, but I thought there was some pretty good, I want to say, I paid more attention to the classic physique, definitely.
Yeah, same here.
No
calves, so it's my division. It's my division. I have no calves, so like, if I'm going to compete, that's the spot for me.
Yeah, I think there's some serious potential with some physiques there, and I think that's going to end up being more competitive because you have more. Obviously, it's easier to get into from the time spent training to start to compete at that. But I also think you have to be. I don't even know. That's not the right thing to say. It could be, because I'd like to know your opinion on this, because you can't. You're in a much tighter weight bracket. I think a lot of your natural physique gifts have to be pretty well rounded, because you don't have this giant amount of leeway to put on mass using whatever methods you're going to use to make up that difference. Because your frame is naturally going to be smaller. So I think you have to be a little bit more, just not genetically gifted from putting on muscle mass, but genetically gifted with limb length, torso length, all those kind of things, your muscle bellies, your connection points, all those kind of things. Because you're not going to be able to just be like, oh, I have a weak point, I'm just going to train the shit out of it and do whatever means necessary to grow that body part. I think because things are a little bit tighter, you have to be a little bit more genetically disposition to do it. But that's not to take away from the guys that are absolutely massive, because you can't just get absolutely massive without having some genetic gifts for that too. I just think that there's more wiggle room to make some corrections to your physique beyond what your genetics would necessarily have you doing. But yeah, I don't know. I think there's some pretty talented people in the classic physique that I'd be interested to see. There's a lot of, I don't know. It's interesting. There's a lot of people that could be amazing. I think if they stayed with it, and they weren't one-hit wonders, because that is a sport of one-hit wonders. People that are awesome for a few years and then you never know their name again. So you're always interested in who's going to be the timeless people that do it for a long time and do really well for a long time. That's really who I'm interested in, is who can compete at a good level and do it for a decade. Those people are interesting human beings and interesting people. And those are the ones I'd want to see anyhow, because, there's a lot more going on there than just your genetic gifts and, things that are your mentality and that's really, really, really interesting and a lot more, admirable in my opinion, because it's not what can you do one time doesn't hold a lot with me. It's or what you did last year. It's what can you do right now and how long could you do it and be successful. That's a lot more interesting to me.
Yeah, no, when you're talking about they have to almost be more genetically put together to carry at their weight. I think it's true. I also think there's, because you can't just you're right, you can't just put on mass to emphasize and make the waist look smaller and whatever. Right. But I also think in that division, and correct me if I'm wrong, they judge posing. They judge the posing routine, as they should. As they should. I think you can get away with a lot like that posing
in certain federations.
In certain federations,
the ones you're referring to.
Yeah, IFBB, they judge. Yeah, and if they don't, at least I don't know if it's a points thing or not. I feel like in that division that it is a points thing. I'll probably get beamed for that one, but
yeah, I've been told by judges that I know, and I'm friends with a few.
Mm-hmm.
That still comes into play if it's not judged. If people are going to do reorganizing from like a morning show to the evening show, mm-hmm. and some people are close, like extremely close.
Oh, they'll use it as a measuring stick. Yeah,
they'll use it as a measuring stick. Yeah. But that's one of those things too. Judging's like it's so subjective. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is.
I mean, I think in that level, if it's judged, I think you can also, there's a lot more wiggle room, because you could be a really artistic person, and I don't say get away with murder, but you can bump up. Like, I was really surprised Terrence didn't win. Oh, he did win the Arnold, and he didn't win best poser too. I mean, did you see that routine?
I did.
Dude, like, what the fuck was that? Like, it looked great. And then like they gave it to the other guy who like did the same posing routine from Pumping Iron. I'm like, all right, well, like you watch the movie a couple of times, you can just do it. Like, there was no like hard thought process into that. I can't do what he does on stage. I'm just saying. But like, you watch Terrence, you're like, he completely made all that on the fly to a song that was in Tomb Raider, for Christ's sake. So I mean
yeah. Shit. Yeah, no, and I appreciate that, because that's been a huge thing for me when I was competing. Is I don't have anything wrong with paying homage to someone's posing routine or what they did, or taking a move or a pose or whatever, especially because you only have, you're gonna pull from something. You can come up with your own creativity and put your own spin on it. But so I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But yeah, like you're saying, like that dude was doing posing on another level that you can really appreciate. And if it's something that's part of the competition, and someone's clearly crushing that aspect of it,
Right.
it has to be valued. Not to mention, I appreciate that part of it. That's the art form of it, to me. And I think we'd see some better stuff. You value what you place, if you don't place value on it, it's not going to be protected. So that was always my fear, is like, if you're not putting points or a substantial amount of points behind a posing routine, people are going to stop caring about it. And that's what you see now is every
100%.
Every dude stepping up there.
I was thinking the exact same thing. Like the opening is like, it's a guest posing thing. You just go shoot some biceps. Yeah.
Put on AC/DC and turn it up slightly louder than the next guy.
Yep.
And
hit power shots.
I mean, it's just, which is
the whole thing with Sergio won best poser. But
I just don't know how you put in that.
They didn't boost him in ranking. Like, how do you not put any points to that at all? If you don't, then you don't even have it.
That's it.
Just don't
even have it. Yep.
No.
Exactly.
Or just say, this is not blatantly, we're not getting any prize money, we're not doing anything in any way. Just come out, give us your best, most muscular to a really loud song, and then get off the stage.
Right. And if that's the case, why don't we just do the pose down right away?
Yeah.
Just a free for all, because that's how they do it too. I would like, you could change a lot of little things by controlling, just like when you go pose down. When's the last time you ever heard them put on anything other than AC/DC to a pose down, at any show for any reason? Like, you change that music, I'd be interested to see what happens.
You put on like George Michael, father figure, and just let it happen, see who gets creative with that. Oh yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great. Yeah, because half of them wouldn't know what to do. They wouldn't know what to do, and they get mad. They get so mad. Oh, and then everyone who does have a creative mind is going to look great.
Yeah,
it's gonna be great. Oh, that's a great idea.
That'd be a funny thing to kind of look at too, because you can definitely tell from now and even other ages, 100%, the guys that have a creative mind, and I would be interested to see you take the. I mean, there's a lot that were in that same generation, but I'll use I don't know, the godfather of one of the godfathers of posing, Bob Paris. If you use him as your measuring stick, how many guys that use that level of creativity and treated bodybuilding in its whole as an art form, what was their longevity in the sport compared to the best guys that just came out and hit power shots? I've never thought about that until we're having this conversation. Because you got to go down a real nerdy rabbit hole.
Yeah, when you say longevity, when you say longevity, actual competing longevity, or just in the industry longevity?
I kind of competing, even though some of those guys definitely, I think their career doesn't end because they were ready for it to end. But I know I'd be interested just competing on stage. If you were to put, and I guess you get people having an argument about, where do you put Frank Zane? Where do you put this guy? I definitely, in my mind, like, I know who I'm putting in the art form category and who I'm putting in the great bodybuilder category. So I just take, this might be a fun thing to do at some later point, take a poll, get everyone to put, top, I don't know, there'd be a touch of research to go there, but I don't know, top 50 bodybuilders starting over any any timeline, and how many years did they stand on stage, and kind of look at those two groups if you put into two categories. I don't think I've seen that. They're gonna steal this when someone actually legitimate hears this conversation. That's gonna be in the
legitimate
Muscle and Fitness magazine.
Yeah,
it, because
they're looking for it's content. Almost like, because they're just IFBB keeps creating classes. So let's just, as my good friend Derek Peterson would say, let's just steer into that curve, and let's have bodybuilding. Then you'll have classic. Then you have, the 202, 212, whichever direction they're going to go the next couple of years, whatever. And then right in the middle, we'll call it arts.
Yeah.
And it's basically just like posing does count. Posing is counted. There is an award for it. It counts for points.
Yeah.
It's the exact same as bodybuilding. Just you actually have to put time into like yourself, so that when you practice every week on like a Saturday or a Sunday, you're posing and you're, however many pounds in the offseason, you're busting up your knees. You actually, get some credit for it on the back end.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well,
They'll steal that.
I think this
Yeah.
conversation must have taken place because I know the guys that were like, I'm sure in the Golden Aesthetics Artemis Dolgan circle that he was attempting to put shows together that were a little bit modeled after exactly what we're talking about, appreciating in the sport as an art form, and holding a higher standard, I think, in some of the finer points of the sport. But that's if people are looking for content or something to look at, I'd be interested to see what
man, don't get me wrong though, like I love the freaks, man.
Oh,
like don't get me wrong,
yeah.
like I I keep using him because he's one of the greatest of all time, but you look like the Dorian, it's like, bro, I don't need to pose. I look like a granite god. I'm gonna come out here, even with a torn bicep, I'm gonna win because I'm gonna win the majority of shots.
Yeah,
whatever. Yep. I'm just gonna hit these shots. I'm gonna look granite peeled. I'm 10 pounds lighter than I really should be because I've spent another 4 weeks getting more shredded. I'm just hit these power shots.
Yep.
And he did actually. That's an years. He did like a posing routine to like a clock, and he would be in the kneeling position.
I know exactly the routine you're referring to.
Oh yeah, I was like, oh, the mass, bam.
Yes, so he has it in him. That's it. That's interesting. That's someone who kind of there's always somebody that proves the rule. Also, if there's any bodybuilder over time that I think I identify with their mentality and how they treated the sport and how they treat everything else, Dorian stands out in my mind more than anyone, at least in how he's talked about his mindset in training and all the, just kind of that. He made the comment, kind of preparing in the shadows, when nobody is watching, being really, really shut in, not talking about stuff, not post, obviously that was, kind of free, but then, it's easier to, definitely easier to do back then. But I have no doubt right now, if Dorian Yates was competing, he wouldn't be posting shit on anything. He wouldn't give anyone anything.
He wouldn't have to.
I love that.
No.
I love it. That would drive people nuts too. That would drive promoters nuts. And I love that because there's no distractions. And I understand that tenfold, that mentality. I would have liked to see him do more, I think, of add in the creativity that I think he had at times with things. But like I said, if his mentality was, I can do whatever I want because I've gotten to the point where I'm that good within the other people in this lineup, I think that's also a cool thing to do. That's like basically walking up to the plate and being like, I can only hit home runs right now. So it's just a matter of where you want me to place it in the stands. And I can appreciate that on some level where it's just this total domination where it's like, I could come up with a beautiful posing routine, but I don't need to. And I'm not going to do it to spite all the people that, think that
like Sean Ray. I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to beat him.
Yeah. And Sean Ray, I think, it's Sean Ray. I don't know. If you laid out some of the best posing routines ever, Sean Ray it's
pretty good. Top 5, definitely. Debatably top 3.
Some of it might have been my favorite posing for sure.
Yeah.
Not all of them, but some of them are just, it's graceful.
I've heard Dorian get asked that question before where it's like, do you think you could be the shadow today? And he would kind of goes around it, doesn't really answer it like yes or no. And I guess it kind of just comes out like a no. I'm almost of the opinion that I bet he could. I bet that first year, because you come out of nowhere and you just win it, someone's going to sign you. They don't, and I guarantee you come back and repeat again, like that dominant again, like a 92, 93 Dorian, like a 93, what you won, like a 93 Dorian body. You get supplement contracts, gas contracts, you get it all.
Yeah.
They wouldn't care because of who you are. They fly you out for like 3 weeks, do all the photos they needed for all year for, what magazine or Instagram, whatever publication they're doing. And that's it. I bet he could. I bet he could. And I bet that's now to do that. There are actual athletes now. that do that.
Yeah.
They don't really post anything about their training or about anything.
Mhm.
It's just, yes, look at this protein. Yep. This is family Thanksgiving. Yep.
Yep.
You really never see anything about them. Like,
Right.
and like they're NFL players that do that, and they're all studs.
Yep.
Yep.
And I get that. I think that's how,
That's the way to go.
that's the way that's the only way I could do it.
I have to do that way too. Oh, yeah.
Unless you had barring a few exceptions, that's the only way I would be able to do it from how I like to approach bodybuilding specifically. Because I know the atmosphere that I like to create, around doing things the right way, and done it enough to know like what it takes to do it at the level that I want to. That's the only way I would be able to do it. If you're dealing with all those other external factors and things that you've got to meet to do that and do that as a profession. So I don't know, who knows, he could probably do it if he wanted to. If Levrone can come back and get on the stage, I don't think Dorian would have any problem, to be honest with you.
I doubt it.
He could do it.
Oh yeah.
He wouldn't, because he's smarter than that. I think that's why he answers those questions the way he does, because I totally respect what he's saying. It's like it's neither here nor there. That's not the world that he lives in now. But he could do whatever he wanted.
Yeah, I mean, I talk about athletes coming back. Like, this is a question I get asked a lot, and granted, it's very strength athlete and upper level CrossFit athlete determined. But and actually, to be honest with you, it's majority of the CrossFit world. I remember just being told this, being asked this. They say, well, I mean, I turned 30, 2 weeks ago, so everything's downhill from here. And it's not even like sarcasm. It's just like, this is going to happen. I'm not going to be good anymore.
Yes.
And B, I actually got told by someone. I was 24 at the time. No, 25 at the time. And I worked at Costco for 2 years, and I went from training 8 times a week to 4 days a week to 2 days a week to training 1 day a week and maybe working out maybe 2 days a week. I think training and working out completely different animals. Like, it's completely different. And I got there. I was training with him one night, and he's like, yeah, like, how do you feel? I'm like, I feel pretty bad. I feel pretty, this full-time job because it's kicking my ass. Like, I don't enjoy it. And he's like, well, I mean, like, how old are you now? I'm like, I'm 25. He's like, well, like, when were you at your peak? I'm like, I guess my peak strength, I was like 22. And he said this to me. He's like, well, yeah, you're 3 years older now. You can't do that anymore. And I'm like, what? No, that doesn't make any sense at all. What you're saying. I've detrained because my life just went to shit. But you're telling me because I'm 25, I can't do what I did when I was 22. If you're training in the same modality for X amount of years, you should exponentially get better. Like, yes. I genuinely think once you pass 30, if you're training the same modality for at least a decade and you're not being an idiot, and granted, there's a bit of luck that comes in down, and you're not tearing your pec, you're not tearing your quad, you're not doing anything stupid, you should be hitting your peak at like 31, 32, 33. And you start getting mid 30s to 40, then your natural testosterone starts going a little bit. Maybe then like starts going. Like, I have a couple of doctors that go to my gym that here in Columbus from OSU. And one of them described to me like it's a tire scenario. Eventually the tire is going to run out. Everyone's tire runs out of air and or tread. Okay. It's going to happen. Arthritis, whatever it's going to be. I always liken it to a candle. Like, you light a candle at some point, you start training at some point, it's going to start burning down. Now, the trick is, are you in an oxygen rich environment where it's going to burn a little more? Are you taking the candle? Oh, you got to rotate a little bit. So now you're losing some wax, but you're burning a different area, and you learn how to manipulate it a little longer. Like, that's how I always talk about it, the candle. But do you legitimately think when you hit 30, it's just, time to give up, time to stop, time to fold it in? It's over.
No, now. I even thought that, when you talk about, getting to that prime, I kind of made this assumption at the progression that I'd made that in certain things were getting easier. I also knew how to approach them in a much more intelligent fashion. So, I had, this full belief that, I don't know, between 28 and 35 was, my peak. And when I really started to think about, well, what things are peaking at that point, before they diminish, there's a lot, some that are biological and then some that are external as far as like your career and how much control you have over your schedule and stuff like that, that allowed me to, you know, have that be a prime window. Yeah, but just no way. Not to mention when you talk about it from a biological standpoint, there's people that have managed their health so poorly at a young age that
sets them up in a really shitty way.
And you clean up your lifestyle, and all of a sudden you know how many people say like, I feel better now than I did when I was 22. It's like, well, that's because you were, you know, being really deranged when you were 22. Yeah. So no wonder. But not even close. I've never ever thought that. If anything, I was always trying to prove. I wanted to be the one that proved that rule. Because I can't tell you how many people are like, you know, you'll feel it right when you hit 33. I just felt the big change. About the only person that's ever said something that I think maybe there could be. He goes, I don't know. I think I felt something. And this is some of those, when I say extremely active, like extremely active, he goes about 52. I definitely felt like there was a chink in my armor, and he goes, it was really just from a recovery standpoint. He goes, I just couldn't recover as quickly. I'd hit stuff just as hard. I just wasn't recovering the way I did. And this is someone also too, I think it's important that they're very, very conscious of their body and they pay attention to things. That's also why I think our pre-conversation to this of talking about, you know, COVID and the vaccine stuff. I want information from someone who keeps very, very good, a good pulse on their personal health and what's going on and the feedback they're getting and how they feel. I think so many people don't pay attention to what is going on and don't make mental notes of how they feel. That they don't know when there's a drop off. Could they feel the same from 22 to 40 basically, and it's all kind of just substandard from where they're at. Or they've never got to the point of challenging themselves enough and pushing their physicality to where they even had a clue. So I think that's why some people say like, I feel better now at 45 than I did at 20. It's because they weren't doing anything remotely to challenge themselves and see what they were capable of. It's a mentality that changed at that point. Me, I feel better now than I did because of the mental part of it, because I know the deep water that I can go to and swim out of it. I didn't know that in that time period when I had unlimited energy and your hormones are at their absolute maxed out capacity. Yeah. Didn't have the ability. And I think that's probably by design. Like, I'm glad I wasn't able to push myself to where I could now, because I would hurt myself. You know, I would have got such tremendous injuries most likely, or just burned out my central nervous system from overtraining more than I did when I was at that age that, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now. I'd probably be too broken to have tried to do this as a career and teach other people how to do it safely.
Right. I think your point on, like I call it training maturity, like understanding where you are, like in space and time is really, really big. And you can have someone who's been in the gym for 2 years and is more training mature than someone's been in for like 20, and I've witnessed that being at Westside. Like I've watched it happen. And, it's one of those things where it's like, well, yeah, you can't do what you used to do. Like, well, no, I can still do the volume I did in college if I want to. To what end? I'm not going to get better. I think the longer you're in the game, like I can get away with, like when I go to bench for strength and power, like I understand to transfer energy from the floor to the bar. I understand holding the triple arch. I understand like how to activate my lats, my rhomboids, my teres, my traps. I know how to pop the bar off. I know how to jam my humerus so my delt powers out of the bottom. I know how to really milk the bar on the way up.
Yes.
Well, so I can get more out of a triple than someone can out of, I don't know, a 5x5, because I just know how to do it. So I am tapped. I'm taxed at that point, but the road mileage on my system, on my joints and my musculature is so much lower as long as you've warmed up, I've activated correctly. That's why whenever I write programs for people or write programs for gyms, like CrossFit gyms or whatever, it's like you're doing one set, maybe 2 sets.
That's how you tip.
That's it.
I think that's why that analogy is so important. You got to learn to tip the candle as you go on, or you're going to get mentally defeated because you think like, oh, if I can't do it the way I've been doing it, then I'm not going to do it at all. And people that are hardcore have that mentality, and it's unfortunate because you learn to tip the candle and burn the wick from a different side.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. One, you might find in that process, you'll find some more joy in your training, but absolutely. I mean, Arnold makes that famous quote that everyone uses where he says, I can go in and do one set and it'll be more beneficial for me than, the people that spend an hour in there. I can do one set on one exercise and I'll get more from it. That is not ego.
No, it's science. No, it's science. It's Dorian Yates science.
If you know what you're doing, you know what you're shooting for, you have the ability to take yourself to that dark place. Because I don't think people recognize what that would look like. That's also true.
Yeah.
He is not being arrogant, Arnold, when he says that statement. That it shows the utmost maturity in, the professional aspect of being able to train, from in his realm. And that's exactly what you're saying. When you know how to do all those things, then you earn the ability to kind of tip the candle in the direction that you need to. Cause I can do the same thing right now. Even I do it for some, like when you're saying the difference between training and working out, I can work out the way I did in high school and college, or when I was doing experiments, no problem. And I know exactly what the outcome is going to be. I just know now, the lack of progress or the detriment of doing those things and what it's going to be. It doesn't mean I'm not going to do them. Doesn't mean I'm not going to have fun potentially, but you're aware of what's going to happen in that equation. And once you're aware of it, you apply the equation that's going to be, most proper to what you're trying to get out of it. And it takes a lot to get to that point. It takes a lot to get to that point.
Yeah. Do you ever have anyone you do programming for, or you train and you're watching their videos, you're watching them live, you're like, all right, do a set with this percentage or this weight, or, this weight we're going to take for, at least 3 reps, we're just going to go until it's over. And they do it. And you're like stop. You're like, are you okay? Like, are you like legitimately you're afraid? Like, are you injured? Are you all right? And they're like, yeah, I just, it was heavy. Like, you still had like 3 to 5 more reps. Like, I've programmed for so many people and like, I've had to fire them. Like I fire more than I hire. Like when I train people, like especially online, like I fire more than I hire. And like no, this is just not for you. Not saying it won't work, but just like this, you and I, we're not going to work out. You should check out X, Y, and Z because that's more of your speed. Like the day I stopped like doing that 1 to 2 sets is the day I think to myself, like I want to lose some muscle mass.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like that's.
I've had that. I've had that experience. I have that experience weekly. And I've had both. Some where, I'm fired. This is probably a better resource. I'm not the best person for you right now and where you're at. And I've also had ones that, for the circumstances, like, all right, you got 5 more reps in there. And how do I climb inside your head right now and in the future to get you to be able to do that? Because I've had the people where I was like legitimately questioning, like, they're not capable of this. They're not capable of doing what, I want to see them do. So when you got to slow cook someone that I'm in question, like, I don't know. It's like, I don't know if they're actually capable of this. I don't know the depth of their
resolve,
grit and resolve.
Grit. Yeah.
So I'm just like, and I still have some that like, I guess we're going to find out. Like this might be a 5-year journey. And
that one set,
I had a couple experiences. Yes. I had a couple experiences in high school with people where I kind of thought back and I was like I had more, that guy had more going on, but man, did we have to chip away a lot of granite to get there. And I don't know if I think in that time too, life experiences, this could be a huge tangent that I won't go down, but life experiences start to callous people. And then you when your mind goes to a dark place when you really do a set to failure.
Yeah.
I know, and I've seen this in training with enough people, the people that have been in actually dark places can go to those dark places mentally. And it's so different whether it's, you and me dealing with a hardship or whether the bar's on my back.
It's scary. No, it's fucking scary because it's really terrifying. Like you like start to like tear up a little bit and you're like, oh, this is really bad. This is bad. But you keep going because you don't feel anything anymore. Like, this is bad. This is gonna be really bad. Like, you shouldn't be digging that up, but we do.
And I gotta think that as those, you train. I've been fortunate enough to train with or alongside or some people for quite a few years, and all of a sudden a few life experiences change the way they train. And I'm like, I never would have looked. I mean, you got to do something for a long time to start to see things like that happen. But life changed the way they trained in their approach, or even, people are motivated by different things in a weird way. I don't know that all will last forever, but even a positive manner, someone's like, hey, you have a chance to do this. They get the right positive feedback from the right person. And all of a sudden it's like, who is this person? Like, now they all of a sudden want to try and kill themselves when
what happened? What just happened?
What happened?
What happened this week? Like,
so I've seen those things happen. I think they're the same person at the core, but I think there's something to be said that, someone could have 10 years of we'll just call it 10 years of tragedy. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, you know how to fucking lift weights now.
Yeah. And so Cruella brought me for my second birthday. We were together. She brought me to Nashville, and anyone who knows me knows I'm a really big, like, 90s, like, alt music fan. So, like, Rob Thomas for me is like it. He's it. He's been crushing it since 96, probably before that. Like, when you or someone else came out, like, just crushing it. And he's the most recognizable, unrecognizable person on the planet. And I went and saw him, and he's, first off, sidebar, he's great. You ever watch him live? Rob Thomas don't give a fuck. He's the honey badger of the stage. He's great. He told someone to shut the fuck up, like, straight up. This is so great. He was like, this is not request hour. This is shut the fuck up and listen hour. I'm like, thank you, Rob. Thank you so much. He's very short.
This is what I paid for.
Oh, I know. It's 100%. So he said something, and he said it multiple times, and it makes a lot of sense, that he doesn't trust anyone who's never been at the very bottom, who's never been 1,000 pieces and had to recreate themselves. Like, and every time I meet someone who I don't trust, like, they're usually that. They've never had to recreate themselves. They've never gone to a very deep, like, either depression or really rough period of time and had to completely recreate, like, their shattered being. And those people are usually the ones in the gym who are really religious and are really on top of their shit. I also have a theory, and it's actually stems from my mother. My mother once told me this, and it was like her theory too. And she's very, like, ethereal and like cosmos type person. And she told me once, like, like, Joseph, you were C-sectioned and you wouldn't come out for a long time. We had to cut you out. It was a very last second thing. We cut you out. Like, I actually have 2 gashes on my face when the scalpel, like, sliced my head. Which now, thinking about now, I could be set for life, but I wasn't born in 2005. So unfortunately, 89 was not, 2005. So, and her theory is when a child has to be C-sectioned or has to be turned or something of that really erratic nature, and the mother obviously is in stress. So your cortisol levels, the mother's already up there. But now there is a hard, beyond what's already being done, drugs are not in the system. There's a hard adrenal release. And as you know, as a son of science, as we both are, anything the mother's going through is going right into the child. Right. I truly believe that if you were C-sectioned or had the mother was in a rough labor, I think you have another gear, just mentally in your mind. And everyone I've ever come across, I've been trained with, who can go there, has been C-sectioned or had, like, the mother, like, there's something going on in the childbirth that wasn't kosher. Something happened. And it's just, I truly think that, to detriment and benefit, there is something in those beings. And I can just, because I'm like that I can push so hard and so far that it's not healthy. It is not healthy. I shouldn't be doing it, but I'm doing it. And then in a really weird way, I'm able to recover from it. Right. I don't know how. It's like, when I look back at, like, I told you this before, like, when I look back at what I did at Westside for all those years of training, there's no way I should be in one piece. There was no way being there, like, not taking Louis Simmons creatine. Like, there's no way I should have been able to do that, compete. Like, I never competed, but going in the gym and you're competing there, it's cutthroat. Like, every Monday and Wednesday, especially, and winning against people who are bigger than me on a regular basis. There's no way I should have been able to do that. There's no way I shouldn't be able to recover. like the things I do in the gym, like we trained once together before, like being dehydrated and stuff. Like imagine what we could do if we were hydrated and fed and like slept. Like it'd be really aggressive.
Oh yeah,
but we could recover.
We were having fun.
That was fun. That was also fun.
And that was for fun, and
that was for fun. And it was no one else would do that.
No breaking weight. Well, we know they wouldn't. That was like, I was kind of I imagine there's a few hardcore people that go through there, and we got approached by the owner and a couple other random people in that gym. Like, man, you guys understand anybody do that? And it's like, we were training hard, but that was having fun. That wasn't like we were.
That was let's try this leg press. Let's try that chest press.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Let's try that. Like, oh my God, a pull up. Oh, let's do that. Like, yeah.
Yes. That was
no numbers to beat, nothing. No.
That was a Disneyland experience.
Oh,
we were just in the thrift store shopping that day. That's what was going on there.
But like I truly believe that's a thing. I think if childbirth was rough, I think that, man or woman has inherently like the ability to shift gears, because there's a constant like survive pinging that's going on in their mind that I don't think other people have. I think that makes a ton of sense from a biological standpoint. We weren't meant to wilt and die. So what things have to kick into gear to adjust and adapt. It happens all the time. I think I try to stay on the front of kind of pay attention to things like that. But once people start to figure out that, even everything you put in your mouth food-wise is having a genetic level effect on what's going on in your body. That's a weird thing, probably a different topic for another time, but I had that mentality with having offspring in the greater sense of thing, where I wanted to be in really the best shape I could and stress my body and tax as much as I could before I had kids, because you're fucked up. Yeah.
I was hoping that might get imprinted in my DNA somewhere.
Right. That, this guy's in shape.
Yeah. It's like, these kids got to be tough because this guy just had abused himself. Like if they're not tough, they're not going to make it in this world. It's just like, what else how else do we pass that information on? So I was convinced, and still am.
It's gotta be a thing.
It's gotta be a thing.
It's gotta be a thing.
So I'm like, all right, I got to absolutely murder myself prior to these kids coming out, because I need it in that genetic code to make sure that like these are warriors.
Yeah. And you got two.
Not that they're good.
So basically, Jack's like, we're not going to go too hard, but we're going to give you two chances. One will win.
No, I don't see it. Times are so tough. Times are so tough. The only way these are going to survive is if there's two of them to fight back. Because clearly the battle zone that they're being brought into is so violent and so aggressive that if one is by itself, it's not going to make it. We're going to need to send two. That's all I can come up with.
Oh, that's great. No, talking about violence, and aggression. Did you watch any football last weekend?
A touch.
Tell me you saw that Penn State, Iowa?
I didn't.
Or was it Iowa? No, Illinois. No, it was Illinois. You didn't see that?
No.
Dude, Coel and I were late for a dinner party because we got to overtime in college. And like, I'm gonna watch that because it's not some bullshit like NFL. Like, well, we're gonna play 15 more minutes. We're gonna shut it down. We'll call a tie.
Yeah.
We're basically the Premier League of English soccer, so we'll call a tie. Like, no. Like, it was like first overtime, second overtime, third overtime. Now the rules are changing. Oh, good. Now it's gonna be fun. Like now we're doing the Baker Mayfield money. This is good. Fourth overtime, fifth overtime, sixth overtime, seventh overtime. And it's like, no one's ever gone to 8 before. Eighth overtime. And then 9 overtimes. Someone finally decided to win. Like Illinois won. And like, that was phenomenal. Of course, all the announcers are talking about the entire time are A, the rules, because no one's ever gone this deep in the game. And 2, how they should really stop playing now because there are going to be injuries now.
Oh gosh.
There are going to be injuries. There's so many injuries that could happen now because now everyone's getting tired. In my mind, I never bought that. You didn't buy. I can see your face. You don't buy that either. Because like you're telling me they're more tired during that period of time than the first quarter. Like obviously they're not as tired, but like the amount of like tenacity they have during the first of just spearheading people versus when they're quote unquote tired. But it's more like putting their body on the line to have things stop. But I don't understand where they're like, well, we can't risk the injury. I'm like, really? But you can risk having someone win or lose, which is how it should end anyway. There should be a winning and losing. And why not, if you're really that concerned with it, bring out the kickers, start them on the 20, 25. You both made it 30. Let's keep going. Oh, we get to the 50. Now we're going to go 1 yard at a time.
Yep.
Good. 51, 52. We're going to keep going. Like, you want to avoid injury? Like, there's your answer. Like, not this like really weird thing in NFL where they're like, all right, let's stop. Or if you're going to really complain about it in collegiate, like, now I'm just on a soapbox because I just can't stand when people say like, well, they're getting injured. Like, they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
100%. They 100% know what they're doing. They know it's going to be, it's a violent sport.
Yes.
They know what they signed up for. They know they've been playing since majority of them now since age, 5.
Yeah.
They know. In the NFL, you're professionals. You're paid to win a game. You're not paid to tie a game. I think it was Donovan McNabb even fucked that up. Like, because he legitimately is like, I didn't know that we could tie in the NFL. I didn't think that was a thing. He didn't push the ball down the field.
I'm so adversely against that if that's really what it comes to, like, we shouldn't be playing the game anyhow, because I can play devil's advocate on anything. There's a lot more going on, but I crave those moments where you can actually have the opportunity to get to that point of maybe tapping into some things that never actually kick in a game, to where you might have a few people that are actually grinding, actually getting to a mental place that they've dug a deeper hole than they've ever dug. Like, I yearn for those moments where you can dig a deeper hole than you've ever dug.
Yeah.
And you're getting these people that are maybe having the only opportunity in their entire career, maybe in their whole life. That might be the deepest physical hole they've ever dug. Like, this is an opportunity.
Yeah.
This might be, those are the moments that you might be able to make a movie out of. And then this generation is talking about like, oh, we should pull the plug on this.
Oh yeah.
It's like, that might be, that is inadvertently the mentality that is pulling the plug on society.
Oh yeah. The play,
like,
the hard play, the play it safe to an extreme. Like, you're talking like, it's funny too, because you brought up like digging a really deep hole, like just digging for what you've never done before. And I think to myself, like, one of the big things the NCAA talks about, especially NCAA football, is how, we're not making football players here. We're not making students. We're making young men.
Yeah.
Like, well, that's going to make a fucking man. That's digging down and doing that. Like, oh yeah, but we're going to put the pedal down now. I can't wait. Well, I can't wait for you to try that 2-point conversion, because I'm gonna kill somebody. Yes. This is gonna be great. Oh, they stopped them. They switch. Oh yeah, well, I'd love to see you try, motherfucker. Let's try. Like, let's go for gold. Game on, motherfucker. Let's go.
That is exactly my point. Because that is the mentality I took. And yeah, you deprive someone of that experience of what you're actually hoping to get for as a student athlete, because we're removing the ability to play after college because so few have that opportunity to do that. That is possibly one of the most important reference points that you'll use for your whole life. When you encounter those traumatic times, your mind goes to these dark places. You're only be able to hold a candle to what the deepest hole you've ever dug. And for a lot of student athletes, like, the physical challenges they face on the field might be the toughest thing they've ever faced up to that point in their life. And the more challenging that is, the more opportunity you have to rely on that when it actually comes into play later in life, the more stress you can handle, whatever it might be. And for them to want to pull the plug and rob those athletes of that potential experience, like, I'm sorry, but you've lost your way. You aren't actually, you're not really understanding what what you're putting out as your mantra, because that's where it's defined, that's where it's gained, that's where it's lost.
I remember when I was in high school, like, the big thing, maybe it was for both of us, maybe it was for you too, but was the big thing in high school when you were in high school football was that football builds character.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Okay, so here's the thing, like, I can see that for some people, and I can only speak for myself. I think it revealed character. Like, it revealed like who I was as a person, who I was as, a good manager of people. I think it revealed who I was going to become. And I remember my sophomore year wanting to quit. And I think hindsight being what is, like, I'm glad I didn't, but at the same time, I feel like I should have, because I remember going to the head coach and being like, I just want to lift weights. Like,
Yeah.
I'm really good at it.
Yeah.
I know what I'm doing. I'm having seniors ask me questions, and I lose myself in there. I don't lose myself in the football field. The games, yeah, but like practice is like, fuck.
Right.
This is rough. I got guys that are going like James Madison and like, Liberty, like competitive division schools running me over because I weigh 150. Like I just don't. This is not my thing. But I could, I could outbench the majority of them. I could outpull them, and I was on par like with a lot of other lifts with them, and like I just enjoyed it more. So I think it, at least for some people, me especially, it revealed character in that regard.
Yeah. I would say, and I've had that conversation a lot with other coaches that kind of had that same, played football, because I think that's the most.
Yeah, it's common. Yeah.
It's a common reference point that we use, especially if you came from one of those like Friday Night Lights, Permian type of program,
because they playoffs, always winter states. Yeah, same here. I was here.
Yeah, and there's a very high standard of things. So I'd agree 100% from my own personal standpoint. That's what I got out of football, for sure. And I definitely saw some people that it revealed their character, because it's pretty early on, like your first year of playing, like high school football and that kind of a program, before you're in shape or you had the time to add 100 pounds to your bench press or whatever it might be, you're more physically challenged, probably getting run over and beat up and bruised and having to do that when you're injured. And you don't all of a sudden just, I'm a little bit bigger and stronger and whatever. Like, you either break down mentally and say like, I don't like this, or you recognize like, I'm gonna take my licks and kind of know, hey, there's an opportunity to be better and be able to handle this in the future because other people are clearly doing it. And you have those reference points. And I saw a lot of people that I didn't think they had it in them, but you find out very quickly whether they do or they don't. And then you see a lot of people too that you think like, whatever, they played for more years, because I never played football prior to high school. Didn't even watch.
You did the middle school thing?
I never even I had never even watched a football game on TV until my freshman year of high school. Never.
That's boss. That sounds like me too. I didn't have cable. I only had PBS. Yep. I probably 8th grade was my first at my buddy's house.
So I was very, very green to anything that was going on there. I basically got dared into trying out. Like, there's a little bit more of a story to that, but I basically got dared into trying out because I was a soccer player, like year-round soccer player.
With those legs? Good
for
you. Good for you. That's how you met your wife, yeah.
That is still that's how my wife and I met. We played on a little kid soccer team. The girls coach didn't play or didn't coach, and my coach took all the girls, and we just had a co-ed team one year. And that's the only thing that my wife says she remembers from when we were kids on the same team was, you had really we thought something was actually physically wrong with you. Like you were deformed because your legs were so big as a child.
Yeah.
There's actually like parents in high school too, because then I really, I took what I kind of genetically had, and then I started actually, doing squats and stuff. And I remember in high school, like parents were actually like, I don't know, afraid for their kids, because you put me in a pair of soccer shorts and it's like, everyone's uncomfortable. Even the dads were a little uncomfortable.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I had one guy like that. I was strength coach in high school. He ended up going on a full ride to Pitt, and then he played for Denver, and then he played for the New York Giants. He's the same guy. It was like genetically freaky. When you look at him, you're like, well, I know guys in their 20s who want to have lats like that. Like, oh, you're squatting 6 plates. You're a sophomore. That's cool. You're benching 4 plates. You're a junior. Oh, you're benching 420 next week. Oh, that's cool. I can't do that. I've never done that. That's sweet. Like stuff like that, where like you're squatting, you break that old belt, breaks, like, oh, abdominal pressure. No, my first year of football was 7th grade, because going 6th grade, 7th grade, I remember being in English class and them calling, hey, if you want to try out for the football team, like go to the auditorium, whatever. So I got up and went, and there were a couple of people too in that class that was going, but these other people that were going were like studs. that to be all account, like should have went to like James Madison type schools. They were studs. They didn't apply themselves. And I remember getting up and I remember the teacher's like, Joey, where are you going? Like, I'm going to the football to try football. I was like, get back in your seat. I'm like, no, like I'm gonna go. No, I'm dead serious. No, I'm dead serious. They thought it was a fucking joke. They thought it was a fucking joke. I'm like, because I'm the son of two artists, basically.
Yeah.
That's what my parents, they're both artists. And I was like, no, I'm gonna do it. Because here's the thing, when you're in, 5th grade and you see the movie Rocky IV for the first time, the game's over. You've now, like, I remember exactly where I was, exactly what I was with when I watched that movie. I'm like, you know what? It's time to kill someone. You get a 100-pound boxing bag. Your parents buy it for you because they think you're, weird. And then you have an arbor in the backyard that used to, grow all their, artsy plants. You start doing pull-ups on it and like breaking stuff. Yep. And then you think, well, I can run 3 miles. Screw it. And you go do that. And then I went and tried out. And I remember the head coach was actually, I'm sorry, this is good.
Story tangent. This is upsetting. I hope every 12-year-old boy hears this, because if you don't watch that movie, I'm pretty sure puberty doesn't happen.
No, it doesn't. No, actually,
it doesn't.
Coach Walburn at Knox, when I worked with him there, we agreed the same thing. It's like, yeah, if you haven't seen that movie, you can leave.
I've done a test.
We just put it on in the morning.
If you don't see that movie, something bad happens.
Oh no, it's gonna be, the younger you see that film and internalize what's happening, the better off it is. So 5th grade was a good year for me. And I remember going and doing the practice. I remember I was outskilled by everyone because everyone had played sports their whole life. This is the first sport I ever played in my life. So I had no idea what I was doing, but I could outrun them. I could get in bull in a ring with a guy who was 50 more pounds than me, leverage him out, because I just understood if I jam you in the hip, I'm going to win like 11 times out of 10. And there were 50 people on that team. I was number 50, hand of God. And I remember the head coach telling me, like, at some point, because I got to know him like sophomore, or like my 7th grade year, 8th grade year. He's like, yeah, to be honest with you, it was between you and like 5 other people. And we just kind of put you down because you could push yourself harder. That was it. That was the only reason why. I'm like, oh, cool. So that set my whole life in a whole other trajectory.
Yep.
So
I had a very, very similar experience, and that was that kind of put me in a slightly different, slightly different trajectory, and that was probably exactly it. Yeah, when people are starting to make grades like that, and they the only thing they can use to separate it is, I don't know, you're able to do exactly that. It's
that's the separator though. Like at the end of the day too, that's if you have 2 athletes who are perfectly skilled in the exact same way, but one can run 3 seconds faster, you're taking that one. It can be, it's like the NFL draft. You have 2 running backs, perfect genetic studs every way. One runs a 4.5, one runs a 4.45. You're taking the 4.45 guy. If everything's the same, there's no reason why you wouldn't take the 4.45. There's no reason.
Because if you have nothing, exactly. If you have nothing else to go on, that's what you have to go on.
Yeah.
It doesn't pan out, big deal. But yeah, you can only judge what you can see. And if you can't see it,
no, it's not worth it.
Yeah, you can't. You can't do anything with it.
But I think we've used up a lot of your time. I know you got places to be.
I haven't heard anything screaming yet, but yeah, I guess we can push this as far as we can before a child or a wife or something.
One of the children. Or
I know
one of the wives, or just one wife.
Yeah, we're definitely can't go past there's like a 30-minute window between now and 30 minutes from now that anything can happen.
Perfect. Well, this is a question I got. So, and again, actually, it's funny. Before I go to this question, this actually plays into what you asked me last time, where you're like, we should just put a board up behind you. And I'm like, yeah, we can do that. I got one at the gym. I'll just bring it over. I'm not using it. Hand to God, dude. The next day I'm down here working. Cruella comes down. I have a futon behind me, and I have a TV over here. It's always on ESPN. And she comes over and she sits down. And she's like, how'd it go? I'm like, oh, it went pretty well. I'm like, oh, okay. You should get a whiteboard from behind you. I'm like, yes, I know. Anyway, so
I had a thought that when I was thinking about that, having a camera above facing down, so you can just like zoom straight down at some point, I think is what I want. So I can just hey, we're going to camera,
draw it.
Camera 2, and I can draw it. That's what I actually think is a better idea.
In the late 90s, you have projectors.
Yes.
They don't know what projectors are now. It's not a thing.
If I go the whiteboard thing, I'm just going to get camera number 2, and I don't know, then figure out how to go to that camera, and then I can draw it right on my mat.
What we have going on here was hard enough for me as it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's later down the road, and I haven't felt the need to pull the thing out yet, but
no worries. So they want to know what's the most effective method to progress lifts. So it was a very open-ended question. Like,
okay, yeah,
Olympic lifting. I don't know. Like it was, it was a private Instagram account, so I wasn't able to effectively stalk this gentleman.
Yes, yeah, because obviously training age, where you're at, what you've done, all of those would be the next questions to get a little bit more depth there. But if it's just which is good, I think in these early episodes to have a broad blanket stroke to questions like that, and then have people ask more specific ones, it would be, you don't want to set yourself up for anything that's going to hold you back in the future. So making sure that your form and technique on everything is as sound and as good as possible, because that will be the thing. And I know this from deep-rooted personal experience. If you're going to progress whatever you do for quite a while if you're training hard. Like you were saying in the beginning, you have someone work up and hit a set to failure. If all you did on every lift was go in and work up to a weight that you can control and just say, let's get as many as we can, you could do something in that realm for a long time. I don't know, let's just say 4 years. I mean, that's all that a bigger, faster, stronger type program is. It's just straight linear progression. Basically, you're either adding a rep or adding a pound, or adding an intensity technique, like wrapping a towel around a bar and making it more challenging from that aspect. And people will make just unbelievable progress for 4 or 5 years with that type of thing. And all you're really doing is just you just have to be able to go hard. I found, as someone who progressed in a program like that, like unbelievably, all of a sudden what was going to make me progress past that was going back and addressing the issues I had in my form, so that I could then, because I had some hitches and some issues. I just had some issues where also, there was a lax weight room. So it was like, yeah, that was depth. That wasn't even close. That was
high school depth. It's fine.
So
put it on the board.
I'd say in the broad stroke, the answer is start with strength. Once your form is down, the best way I think to develop it is do more volume in the beginning, not necessarily from the traditional standpoint of how to program, but accumulate a lot of reps so that you can get your form that you've learned good down. It'll also help in the way of you'll put on some muscle mass that way too, but build as much strength early on as you can, especially for a younger person. You have this opportunity to put on a tremendous amount of strength when your hormones are just in these absolutely most pristine place. So train for strength early on in life. Don't waste your time with
hypertrophy
and all that nonsense. Train for strength when you have these unbelievable hormones and get as much out of it as you can, because you can do anything with strength.
Right.
You can do anything with strength. You can turn into an Olympic lifter. You can just be a power lifter. You can be a strongman. You can do anything if you can lift a heavy weight 3 to 8 times. You can do anything with that later on. You'll be a better athlete with that. You could just train in that realm your whole high school career and be better at your sport doing 3 to 8 reps. Maybe even, somewhere in that realm, but build as much strength you can, get as strong as you can. So, lift heavy weights, as heavy as you can, in that, I did a lot of 1 rep maxing in high school. If you have really good form and spotters and stuff, it's totally appropriate. But that's why I say, like, in that 3 to 6 plus, plus or minus 2, depending on the person, lift as heavy a weight as you can in kind of that realm, and make linear progression. And as long as you can, you adding a pound to 10 pounds on lifts, until it doesn't work, because it will work like that for a long time. Once you built that strength, then you can make a decision on, you can microdose on other things that seem interesting to you, but you can add other. Don't overthink it, and don't try to change things until you have exhausted, just just adding weight to the bar. I think people want to add reps more than add weight is what I see, and what I see, younger people making too. And I guess this person didn't specify where they were at in their training, but if you struggle to put your body weight on a bar and squat it or deadlift it, you just need to work on getting stronger. And after that, then you can do other stuff. But maybe that's oversimplified, but just work on building strength, and then you can do whatever you want after that. You can also just work to maintain that, and then just find areas where you think you could have some more general fitness after that. But that's going to make you also, if you don't have any specific goals, that's going to make you better at life and less likely to get hurt. All the benefits of, tendon and bone strength, and the stuff that's going to give you longevity as a human, and be able to do life without breaking down. I don't care whether you're a teacher that, the most physical thing you do is stand on the playground and watch kids on concrete all day. That will break your body down if you're not doing anything, outside of that. The most simple activities will just, degrade you, because you can't support yourself, because we're meant to move and do stuff. So build as much strength, because you're going to lose it anyhow. Start up here and slowly fall down, as opposed to being here and slowly fall down.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No,
So,
that's my big point with that as well.
yeah.
I like to get strong first. I remember
Yeah.
my second job, I worked at a powerhouse gym for like 5 years, and one of the owners was was in WWE for like 3 or 4 years, and the other guy was just like lean, 180 all the time, and he's like, Stallion, just get strong. Don't worry about anything else. Everything will come. Of course, I'm a dumbass. I'm like, no, look what Jay Cutler's doing. Look at this. Look how big his legs are. I'm going to do this 3-hour workout, and it's going to did not. And your metabolism's so jacked anyway, so elevated when you're young. It should be that you're burning through everything. So I think that lower volume, when people are like, yeah, I want to get bigger, actually it will. And if you're doing it within a hypertrophy rep range, you will get bigger. This comes down to our earlier conversation, like one set to like a good strain, or legit like, oh, I missed it. So,
And I'd rather tweak time under tension than the reps at this point too in my career. So if anything, I've learned I'm much more apt, if I want to elicit some sort of gains for myself, to continue to do 3 reps and change the time under tension, then go to 4 reps or go to 6 reps or whatever. I know I'm going to get more out of that, but anyhow, keep going. No,
yeah. So I think going forward, you're saving the energy, you're putting it actually into like regenerating the muscle, like progressing lifts. I'm really big into, if you're doing like your main lifts, I'm really big into like, obviously like the West Side Conjugate system for geared or raw lifters, because it does work for either one if you know how to use it. And so you have 2 lighter days, which are waves. Again, if I had a whiteboard behind me, I could draw it up, but 3-week waves. And then you have 2 heavy days or max days, depending on whatever kind of your programming you're going.
Sure.
And everything underneath those main lifts, whether it's the squat and bench that are being waved on dynamic days, or it's the heavy or max lifts, everything is just progressed. This is one way or another. So you do like one straight set a record. If it's new, you haven't done it before, I guarantee you next time you go around and do it, you're going to get more reps out of it, because you have neural adaptation. As long as you're doing it within 21, 25 days of it, you'll get neural adaptation. You do it again, maybe it slows down a little bit. If you only get like the same number, or maybe eke out one more, okay, add a down set in for a lighter. For a lighter. So if you're doing like 6 to 8, well, sucks to be you. Time to do a 15 to 20. And stay strict, stay sexy.
Yep.
Do that. Okay. You keep doing that after a while. Okay. Go back next week, hit your top set. Oh, good. We blasted past that eeky rep, knock down another one. Okay. Cut the down set off. Now we know.
Yeah.
Go back to it. Okay. I stayed the same. I didn't move at all. All right.
Yes.
So add that down set on. If that works again, that's great. If not, all right. That down set, we're going to do like you're doing like time under tension, maybe like a tempo, maybe a pause, some curveball at it. Yep. And then I guarantee next time you touch it, I add another rep.
Yep. That's it. So, and people have to be okay with at some point making these kind of minuscule progressions.
Oh, really minuscule
that's it.
Progressions.
Like really, and that's awesome.
Yeah.
Like that's awesome. The people that I find that get the most, that like, find training as part of their lifestyle and really enjoy it, are the ones that just revel in these minuscule progressions, because that's what it is. Like once you've got all the fun out of the way, where you make these gigantic leaps in your training, it becomes these minuscule progressions. And then the coach trying to figure out how to continually elicit minuscule progressions. If you don't enjoy that, or you're thinking that if you're not making these, it's that someone else out there is making these unbelievable progressions, like, no, you're drinking the Kool-Aid from something that you shouldn't be.
Yeah, I think too, like, and when I'm working with people, like everyone at my gym, my program for the strength stuff, it's all based off 9 weeks.
Okay.
So like 3-week wave, 3-week wave, 3-week wave, and then week 1, week 2, week 3, generally the same workouts as week, 4, 5, and 6, and 4, 5, and 6 generally the same as 7, 8, 9. So you're adding a rep and they're adding pounds, and then you're deloading or retesting. And I tell them every time, like, the goal is to progress your total, not to progress individual lifts. Like, it's something that Louis was really big on. Like, he didn't give a shit if you PR this, PR that. It's like, you better PR your total. I don't give a fuck. It all comes from your squat, all comes from your bench, deadlift. I don't give a shit. The total is the total.
It's interesting because that's definitely a powerlifting centric mentality. But if you weren't doing the powerlifting movements, I would still think like that's a beautiful thing to put it in terms of, because you're not going to make, people have this expectation that you should be making progress on everything. It's like, don't worry about that. Just worry about progressing in whatever tiny way possible. And if that's what you're focused about, you'd be a lot happier about your training too. And that's like, you shouldn't be. Yeah. There's a lot of people that get emotions wrapped up that shouldn't.
To be honest with you too, not a lot of people that I have found can really do a strict, linear progression, or in my mind, the way I run it, the way I write it, like a conjugate linear progression. Like, not a lot of people can do it, because unless you really are in love with it, like you're saying, like really in love with training, and like a half rep, that's a lot. That's a lot. At like month 4, good for you. Not a lot of people can do that. I think in all the people I've ever worked with, I have one person actually right now, I could give them that program, be like, this is what you're doing for 3 weeks, and you can repeat it again in 3 weeks. We'll change the dynamic stuff around a little bit, but these are your max heavy sessions. And you're going to be doing this probably for the next 6 months. And I'm just going to keep, fucking with it and just adjusting this, adjusting that. And he's diligent enough. He can execute.
Sure.
You have to be really strict on your execution as well. You can't get sloppy and just, go shit on it. But I mean, if I get someone, an Olympic lifter, get to a point, like the first time they ever touched an RDL for like 2 to 4 reps, they're hitting, I think they hit like 280. And then 5 months later, they're hitting 425 for 3, like good locked in. You can't tell me that their second pull isn't better. You can't tell me that. Like, you put bands on the back end where they're doing they're popping their cleans out of their pocket, like, and they're catching it. They're getting underneath the bar, over speed eccentrics. Like, crush it, but it's patience. It's a patience game, and not a lot of people have patience. We want it now.
Not when it comes to that.
Not only is it 2021, we're also Americans. We want everything now.
Exactly.
Immediately. I want it now.
Yeah. We're on worst enemies when it comes to that, for sure.
Yeah. But
that's Pain and Gain was a great movie. But
I bought it as soon as it came out. I remember being in college at Tusculum College and going to the library, because their library is the shit. It's gorgeous. It's very like vampiric, kind of dark, but like gaudy at the same time. And like sitting there on the computer, it's the only place I can get good internet, because the dorms have garbage internet. And I'm typing away, and I'm like, I see it come out. I'm like, oh my God. I like had to find like I got this a Walmart gift card I got like 2 years before. Crystal's DVD was like $25. Like, good, I have $27. Excellent. The shipping was like $1. It's like, bingo. Got that. Oh, it was so great. Love that movie.
Yeah.
Love it.
I feel like I watched it like once and didn't watch it again. And I enjoyed it, but
so good. John Romano was so good in that. So great.
Yeah.
So great. Show me the bodies. Lyle Alzado didn't die of steroids. Lyle Alzado died of a brain tumor. I knew him. I trained with him. Like, it was so great. Did you ever listen to John Romano's interview about drugs and CrossFit? It's like 48 minutes of your life you'll love. Like, it's basically him saying, like, I am a drug expert, which he is, and I handle top end CrossFitters, and they're on the cast. Like, it's savage. It actually may have been taken down. CrossFit may have taken it down. To be honest with you, savage. It was savage, dude.
I think I did, because I don't think anyone else has ever talked about that.
Never. The
And
balls, that guy. He
and I
he lived
know
in Mexico then too. Yeah.
Yeah, it had to have been him because obviously that was a big deal too. And I had a couple friends that were very, very competitive. One maybe both of them still are. One's still competing in CrossFit and one's been to the games on a
Rock
team.
on.
And yeah, before they were really, when they were getting into it, but weren't at that level yet, they were like, you know, is this even worth pursuing? Like, are these people on drugs? And I was like, there's money involved.
Lots and lots of money.
There's money
lots
involved.
and lots of
And they're like,
money.
what do you mean? And I was like, I'm not going to go on my conspiracy tangent.
We have to. It's conspiracy fact.
But that is how our world works. I think I'd read something too, like sumo wrestling is like a heavily like corrupt sport because there's so much gambling on it.
The Yakuza.
Yeah, because
there's
Chinese
Chinese mafia. Oh yeah,
tons and tons of money in that.
Yeah, I'm sure they're taking all kinds of D-ball just to add that water weight.
Anytime there's money involved is one of my issues kind of with pro sports in general. Anytime there's like, I was just like, I was like, there's people doing drugs. And the moment they start betting on CrossFit at Vegas, they'll be doing even more drugs. And they're like, you're so certain about that. Like, you don't know. I was like, I know money.
No, you know.
And money controls people. And if there's people that can be in a sport and there's money to be made, they will find a way to make the money. It's not and there's nothing, I don't think they have any like, I don't think it's really a question of like moral integrity or anything. It's like, that's like, it's a, like, you're looking at it as a sport. Anything that has a lot of money, for some people it becomes a business, and for a lot of people, for a majority of the people, it's a business. So I mean, yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, let's get something out of the way right now. Like, I don't think either of us are against professional athletes taking PEDs. I don't think, because it's just there. If there's a living to be made and there's a lot of money, like absolutely, like absolutely. So I'm sure you're the same way. It's like, we just don't mind that at all.
I mean, if I'm going to put my foot down on something in regards to, you know, androgynous substances going to body, like I've seen way more terrible things in my lifetime with adolescents being put on depression medications and that
too. Oh yeah, they go.
In what realm would I say that these people that are doing something that, if we had to put on a scale of how detrimental is this to anything, don't have the energy to even really have that conversation on that level, because it's like, it's a non-issue.
Yeah,
it's a non-issue. And in some ways, I don't know, you know, if we're talking bodybuilding versus Olympic sports, the conversation's different because the conversation's different. But yeah, no, I think we're on the same page with that for sure.
Yeah. I find it really hard to say, as a professional athlete, you're being paid to do something that you're not going to take every advantage possible to do it not only well, but the best has ever been done.
Yeah.
You know, and I have heard things, I don't have any reference points to it. I have heard ideas that, like, you know, baseball players back in, 1920s would take methamphetamine. Because why not? You're going to run faster. You're going to be more alert. Like, like people, like, I remember like Tom Platz doing a speech. He's like, you don't think there are performance enhancers in the office world? Of course there are. And he's like, caffeine. Of course it's caffeine.
Oh,
of course there's Ritalin. There's what's the other AED medication? What is it? The other Ritalin thing. I forgot, starts with an A. There you go.
Yes. Adderall.
Thank you. Yeah, there you go. Adderall. There are beta blockers. Yeah, they're all things that actually are controlled, that they're getting onto the table and taking it because it's going to boost their level. Take a beta blocker and you walk in front of 1,000 people and you just don't care. You just don't care. If you think that people that are in that upper level, like HBO Succession level of like billionaires, aren't doing that, you're crazy, dude.
And that's crazy. And that's the thing. You don't. Yeah, I think anyone that gets on a soapbox about things like that, they are completely deprived of what you just said. And if you're not looking at it from a global standpoint of like, you know, we're a society of drugs and probably always have been. And I think it really comes down to a question of balance. And is this of a detriment to my life or my being? Or you get to the level of, am I not going to ascend because of what I'm putting in my body? Like, you get people are right to have their opinion on it. But yeah, when you talk about trying to enforce it for other people, and you're deprived of what the reality of, like, we're a culture of drugs, and maybe always have been a culture of drugs, and what we're using
in this country. Yeah.
I'm even deeper. I mean, you got to, like, I'll probably do this a ton in reference to, like, if you and me are the hunters in our tribe, and people are hungry, and you say, like, hey, I found this mushroom in the woods, like, it basically gave me Witcher powers where I can, like, I can see the heat. I can see the heat signature of the saber-toothed tigers walking around now. I'm like, really, man? It's like, yeah. It's like, all right. Yeah. We're doing that because we'll be able to bring home, like, I'm getting that. I mean, that's a trend. Yeah. That's my made up one, but I mean, whatever it is, that's a made up one. I should have just used a reference that was a legitimate thing, but
right.
I mean, who knows? And if, if there's a somehow benefit, I would even argue from my standpoint, you're playing a physical sport where, like, you're money removed. You put me in, like, an MMA setting or a football setting, anything where, like, there's a legitimate, people understand, like, there's a legitimate fear of death or paralysis, or shitting in a bag for the rest of my life because something bad can happen.
Yeah.
And not only am I going to be able to feed my family with this paycheck for a long time, but I'm also going to, or potentially not come out of here alive. And that's how serious I took, football when I played. That, like, there's dudes out there, like, trying to take your head off. Like, they're not playing within they're not even playing within the rules. They're out there to physically hurt you because that's what they enjoy about the game. And you recognize that you're on the field with people like that. And it's like, I can sniff some smelling salts and take a whole bunch of caffeine and ephedrine, and my head's on a swivel, a little bit better, or at least I think so.
No, you're more alert. It's I mean, I've been on the field with some people that I knew went on to play at, like, Virginia Tech, and it's just like, they're gonna fucking kill me.
Yeah,
they're gonna kill me. Like,
yes,
I don't. Yeah, and I have heard stories of like, southern high schools. So you can think of those primary states of what I'm talking about with football. Parents are putting the kids on drugs, like, fucking, like, 8. They're in middle school. I'm like, are you seriously? Like, oh yeah, I just give them half a Deca, and it's like, what? Like, you're giving them a drug you give to cows to plump them up 4 weeks before they get slaughtered?
Yeah.
Like, no.
Yeah,
no. They're not that. No.
That's one of these things too that I think you and I, and also why I wanted to, have these conversations. A lot of people are naive. They're not at the point. That's why I have a lot more compassion in not talking about subjects I don't have some experience in, not just knowledge in, but experience in, because I don't know. I've had my mind blown so much in a field that I know, this much about.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
That people just don't know. So I'm like, if we're having a conversation about something I don't have a personal experience with and some knowledge on, like, I don't know. Like, I'm willing to listen to anyone on what they have to say, because I don't know, because I've seen enough stuff that blows my mind in my own profession that I don't have a clue about other stuff. But yeah, the things that they like to use as the whipping boy for calling people out and proving points, and it seems to be like drugs in sport. We got that same level of stuff going on throughout society in other ways that, we're just shuffling under the rug or don't care to actually address.
Yeah.
Can't tell me that the politicians on the stage at Congress debating the exact issue we're talking about aren't potentially on a non-prescribed or prescribed drug of some sort that is a performance enhancing drug for them and what they're doing right now.
And what they're doing. Yeah. So for people who don't understand that, like, PED is performance enhancing drug. Whatever your performance is, if it's enhancing it, it's a PED.
Right.
So people think of that, they think of like steroids. Like, no, it's pretty much
No.
anything. So when I go to the
baseball
gym,
pitcher really doesn't have a need for that. They want a beta blocker so they can focus in.
Right. And just calm down and not get overdone. And like, so like when you and I go to the gym and we take our drink or happy juice, that could technically be a PED. I mean, it is.
It is.
I have a lot of fun.
It is.
It
is. And that's, I think that's the broad brush stroke for that. But yeah, people just don't understand that terminology and everything you classify there. I mean, caffeine's legal. It's a performance enhancing drug. There's no even debating that. Yeah. Just like I guess you got to put everything on a spectrum, which is probably what you should do with most things.
Did you know that in Canada, ephedra tabs are legal, but DMAA is not?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, you can go to Canada and buy
it. Doesn't surprise me.
Straight up, this is what I've been told from. We have a local supplements store here. This is what they tell me, like, because they'll have, when the Arnold comes down, they'll have a bunch of like Canadians come in and buy almost every product they have with like DMAA in it.
Okay.
And just see what happens if they can get across the border, because they can triple the price on it because they can't import it. But ephedra tabs are totally legal there. You can go and just buy a thing of like tablets or capsules, just ephedra. Canada's weird, man. So great.
Good place.
The French up north. Yeah. You're close to them. And drop us a line.
Close.
Hey, have you ever been to West Coast Iron?
Close enough for comfort.
Yeah. Have you ever been there?
I don't think so. I don't even know where that's at.
Oh, it's in it's right above you. Is it Ontario? What's right above you?
British Columbia. British Columbia.
Okay. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's like right there. Like whatever is the major city there Vancouver?
Is it like black and white and full of arsenal equipment?
Oh, it's a bunch of
I think that's a different gym.
It's like my gym where it's like a bunch of eclectic stuff.
No, okay. No, I don't.
Oh, dude, I bet it's within a stone's throw of you. If you're ever like up for a long drive or something, or vacation, you're like, she wants to go somewhere, like, oh, we should go here. Let's kind of go there. And like, yes, mountains.
I do a lot of tricks like that of where we're going, because there's usually a river to fish in or a decent gym to train.
Oh, got it, dude. I'm trying to get. Sequella and I are going to go to at some point once everything opens up fully, and we're not worried about anything. We're going to go to Toronto to go to HD Muscle or Pure Fitness. You've seen that gym? It's retarded. It's retarded. It's like 20,000 square feet. Every machine you want. And then some. You're like, I have no idea. It's a Life Fitness 300-pound selectorized stack single arm hammer machine. I've never seen that. I want it. Want to get on it. Have to have it.
Yes.
Gotta have. It's a plate loaded like knotless pullover made in like 2010. Gotta be on it. Gotta try it. Gotta see. Watson dumbbells. Gotta have them.
Yeah.
Gotta try them.
If people don't
handles, gotta have them.
If people don't understand the rant that Joe's going on right now, is like most people want to go to Disneyland or go on a ride, whatever it might be. Like this is the Disneyland. The nice thing about being a nerd on this level about strength equipment is there's Disneylands we don't even know about.
Oh, it's so great. There's one in Wisconsin called Madtown. Oh my god!
It's like knowing there's an Atlantis Disneyland under the ocean.
That's my goal. I'm gonna build Atlantis. That's
and we don't know it's there.
Yes,
man. I was thinking of gym names the other day.
Atlantis.
That's not a gym.
It's not. Take it.
But it should be.
Well, actually, you know what? I bet no, it's not.
Has to be somewhere.
Well, no, because Canada has Atlantis, and that was Mr. Canada. Mr. Canada, I forgot what year. He's actually the CEO and president and like head check off designer for Atlantis equipment. That's why you can't, because they patented that bitch.
Well, you can't either, because then you can only have Nautilus equipment in the gym.
That would be dope. That'd be great. I just picked up another three pieces. It was great. It was like $100 a piece. It was so great. I have a problem. So great. No, like that. Yeah, that gym. I gotta check that place out, because it has obscene amount of toys. Like some of it looks like it's not even like some of it is like you see up to date videos of people training there, and it's shit's still on pallets. So I have no idea where they're getting their money or like what. But like, hats off to you. Like there are like 3 or 4 gyms in UK called Ultraflex. Same thing.
Someone's going to start looking this up now, and you just probably exposed a huge money laundering thing. There's
I probably did.
Now.
Let's just pass it through Canada. To South Park, Canada.
Yeah, it's possible.
Yeah. Man, that was a great tangent.
Yeah, it was.
But
I think the clock is ticking.
The clock's ticking?
Good. We did good. No disruptions. I feel like something might be on fire inside my house right now. But
oh well, then I should let you go then.
this was good.
Absolutely.
I'm getting nervous. The dog's the only thing that's walked out here, and this is good.
All right. Well, then I will just
good.
cut this off. All right. So until next time, we will talk to you guys later. Ciao for now.